Let me
Ask
just
for money.
sort of start the hearing to sort of officially start the works going. So this is the February 10th hearing on the application for 131 Brook Road, case number 2859. Sitting on the board this evening is me, Kathleen O'Donnell, and Chris Hart and Michael Brown, members of the ZBA. The application is by Imperium Automotive, doing business as S&E Automotive. Is for a special permit to operate a concierge car dealership at 131 Brook Road. The application was dated December 28th, 2024, was filed by Jamal Denny, who's here with us today. The application includes a business plan outlining the fact that there are 15 parking spaces, and the idea is that 2 of those parking spaces would be devoted to the concierge car dealership. We were also received a Class 2 license renewal, a fire department inspection, a police department inspection, a business Class 2 license application, evidence of workman's comp insurance and a certificate, a letter to the select board indicating that all taxes have been paid, a certificate of good standing for the applicant, business certifications by the applicant, insurance certificates, and a copy of the lease dated September 1st, 2022, from Chris Auto LLC to Imperium Automotive. I'm doing business as S&E Automotive and Inspection. And so, whoops, there we go. I'd like to welcome the applicant, and we would start with Mr. Denny's presentation and what you would looking at the board to do for you this evening.
Well, I started there a few years ago. I took over the place, and I don't know if you ever drove by a while ago, and now
Yeah.
I changed the image of it, paved the place, try to make it look better, you know. And I want to apply for a car dealership license. And I have 2 bays there, and I only have 1 lift. There's so much I could do, you know. And I was trying to see how can I improve it. I tried to go through the registry of motor vehicles of adding 1 more lift. That was my first option. But because I do have inspection and I have a very small place inside, the RMV wouldn't allow me to have a second lift to generate more business. I do have the business. It's just that I can't finish the work that I have because of the 1 lift. So I looked at it as, okay, let me apply for even a 1 car dealer license. I'm not planning on advertising on my building or putting any flags up or writing anything on any cars. Um, I'm trying to purchase 1 car. If I could sell 1 to 2 cars a month, that would be more than enough just to help my business. Um, that's what basically I'm looking for. And I try to keep it maintained. Parking wise, I do have 15 spots. I had the ground, pre-paved and marked. Um, and I have on the side of the building, that's where I'm planning on just putting 1 car. I'm not gonna have multiple cars for sale. I just need 1 to 2 cars a month where it helps my business to keep it maintained.
I noticed well, I looked at the lease, and it's interesting. It doesn't really say what you're leasing the premises for. It just says you're leasing a garage and some equipment. And I wondered whether you had spoken to the landlord at all about whether he's supportive of this additional revenue stream.
Yes, now the landlord is he's my relative.
Oh, okay.
So my landlord is my wife's brother.
All right.
Yeah. It's, I don't know if Kathleen O'Neill, I know the one that owned the property, the last name was O'Neill too. She,
O'Donnell. O'Neill. I
oh
don't know those
no,
Irish names are all alike, but no.
okay. She sold it to basically my wife's brother.
Hmm.
And that's who I rented the
Oh,
shop
okay.
from a few years ago. Before me, he's the one who operated it. He moved
Okay.
on to Boston, and I end up taking the shop from him.
Chris, Mike, questions?
So I'm just looking at the application materials that I have, and
Yeah.
I'm a little bit unclear as to what we're being asked here. Maybe I don't have the entire thing, but are we being asked for, like, what is the zoning relief for? Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, it's a special permit.
Right. Okay. There were two packages. I was only looking at the first one. Sorry about that.
Yeah. We have done one similar to this on Central Street at corner of Central and Blue Hill Ave. There's another concierge sort of service we did a couple years ago for that one. So Chris, did you have any questions?
No, not at the moment.
Mike?
Nope. Not right now. Thank you.
So I noticed that, I mean, the police department letter said, if there's no parking on the street. And so I would assume that if we wanted to issue this permit, we might want to condition it with saying that you can't park any cars on the street. You don't do that now.
I tell you what I do. So next to me, there's a convenience store.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes, he has a parking. So usually if I end up, when I go into work, just to give customers, I don't take space.
Mm-hmm.
He lets me park in his parking lot, like my personal car.
Okay.
But I keep, a certain amount of, I have 15 car spots. I try my best. So I only could take what I could finish.
Yeah.
And when I finish, I usually confirm with all my customers that I want the car picked up, the same night. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes I leave it and then the next day, sometimes I leave the key somewhere. I have a box for them. They come late night and they just pick it up.
Okay. But you wouldn't have a problem if we had a condition for the permit that said you can't park on the street?
No, 100% no. I have no problem with it.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience that wishes to speak either for or against? I see 6 people are signed on.
No hands have raised. Oh, we have Anita and Norman Huggins. Hold on, I'm going to allow them to speak. Okay, Anita and/or Norman Huggins, you should be able to speak now. Please unmute.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me. My question would be,
Where do we live? Give us your address, please.
I'm sorry. We're at 128 Blue Hills Parkway.
Okay.
We're directly across the street from the car service there.
Okay.
My question would be, first of all, is there a restriction now on the number of cars that can be parked there?
Well, there's 15 spaces.
There are 15 spaces, but I was under the impression that they're not allowed to park that many cars there at one time. Overnight.
I didn't see anything in the material that indicated that.
And I say that because I spoke to some inspector a few years ago who said that there were too many cars parked there. I just don't want the place to look like a used car lot over there, as opposed to there being, a few cars parked there overnight. But sometimes the place is full. Other times there may be only 2 or 3 cars there.
Mm-hmm. Well, according to the information that we have, there are 15 spaces there. I assume that they can be filled, and only 2 of those spaces would be used for the car dealership. Is that correct, Mr. Denny?
Yes, even if they allow me for 1 car. My goal is I applied as 2. My goal is 1 car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it gets packed, but it gets packed the beginning and the end of the month on the stickers. So
Oh.
people wait for their car. People don't leave their vehicle for the sticker. So you see it gets really packed when the last week of the month before the last day of the month.
Mm-hmm.
It does get packed. People come in, but we get them in and out. I
Mm-hmm.
have a line, and they park 5-10 minutes, the car is done.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about during the day when you're working. My concern is at night and over the weekend when you're not working. How many cars are there? Because there are sometimes I see up to 10, 12 cars there overnight or
But
over the weekend.
it depends. So if you would have dropped your vehicle and I had no parts for it until the next day, it stays over. It's on the other hand, if it stays over, if I finish the car and you weren't able to pick it up, obviously it stays over for the next day. They show up in the morning and they pick it up. But nobody really leaves it more than a night or two. So let's say if I had a big job, I had an engine job, which I can't take in that shop because of me only having one lift. I subcontract the work to Quincy, actually in St. Milton, to Egan's Sunoco on Adams Street.
Mm-hmm.
I send the work there, and they do it for me. The cars that's going to take longer than a day to stay, or the cars that's it's going to take a whole day on a lift for me to be able to do. That's the only time the car ends up staying. But like I said, if it stays, I send it out.
Mm-hmm.
The other question I would have is what kind of signage would there be for the sale of the cars?
No signage. I don't want to represent my shop as a cars for sale there. So I'm not gonna have no signs that says cars for sale. I'm not gonna have no signs that's on the car pricing or flags or any of that. My main business is auto repair. I'm gonna approach more the car business if I purchase a vehicle. Either I'm gonna put it on autotrader.com or cars.com or marketplace. I'm not gonna advertise it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not gonna look like a dealership because that's not why I'm adding this. I'm adding this just to help me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not looking, I'm on the Rosendale, like side of Milton. I'm new there, been a few years, so I'm trying to fix it up where I have a certain clientele. I don't want to, I just want to have a certain clientele.
Chris.
So on that, thank you, Mr. James, and Mr. Huggins, thank you for the questions. So on the advertising, I had understood from your application. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had understood from your application that any advertisement was online. Is that right?
Yeah, like if I'm gonna purchase a car, I'm gonna put it on marketplace. I'm gonna put my direct phone number, not my shop's number. I'm gonna separate things.
Okay. And we have a letter in the application. There's a letter from the Milton Police Department. I think this goes to Mr. Huggins' question about the cars on the lot. And I hear sort of two questions. One is what's permissible in terms of cars that can be on the lot overnight. I don't know the answer to that, so I defer Kathleen or Mike to you. But the second is, if I read the letter correctly, it's what's actually happening. And it seems like, at least from the police department's letter dated September 13th, 2024, the letter notes there are 15 spaces. They're used for customer and employee parking. And there are no complaints. There have been no complaints for the last 2 years, which is the time that you've owned it. Is that right, Mr. Denny? If I did hear you right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that it sounds like if there's going to be anything overnight on a regular basis, it'll be whatever one or two used cars are stock for the used car business.
Yeah, it's not most likely it's gonna be one. I don't want to take away from my other business. I need the spots from my other business for the auto repair. So I don't want to crowd it either. The other thing is, like, say I have like through my insurance company, where I'm allowed to have cars on the parking lot. So my insurance company, I'm covered up to 10 vehicles if they stay overnight. If God forbid something happens. Um, on the other hand, like I said, the way I'm representing the places, I don't want it. I'm not trying to trash it or to make it look something it shouldn't look like. Just like my neighbors, I try to treat everybody fairly in the area. A few days ago, one of my neighbors showed up. Now I got new lighting in my building. I got new lighting because that store next door, you might see more cars often at night. A lot of people that go to that store come and park in my parking lot. And how can I tell that from the cameras and from the trash they leave in my parking lot in the morning when I show up? A few days ago, I had the guy uh, that the guy lives across the street in a brown house showed up, and he said that my lighting were affecting his bedroom. And I did. I shut him off. I had him for security reasons. People go there at night, but lately I see Milton police parking there, so it's kind of comfortable through my cameras. So I just shut him off. If that's something that made him happy, that I don't want to disturb anybody at night from my lights. So I'm willing to work with anybody that has a problem or I'm causing a problem. I'm willing to work with it.
Okay.
Confirm. Do you want to confirm that? No.
No.
I can't tell if Mr. Huggins or Ms. Huggins have a.
Mr. Huggins, do you have anything more that you wanted to add?
No, only to confirm what he said. I'm the person who went over and complained about the lights, and he did immediately turn them off, and so he was very cooperative there.
No, I hope that also it's you. Okay. All right. Yeah, no. I hope they work. If me
Yes,
shutting them off, it's working for you. I'm glad.
It has worked.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Michael?
So just a quick question about the business. So how does this work? Does a customer come in and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this kind of car," and you'll go out and find it? Or
No.
do you plan to, buy a car, put it in the space, and have it available for sale to the public?
Yes, so I'm planning on purchasing one vehicle from an auction, putting it in the parking lot, advertising it, and then they reach out to me and I would sell it. I'm planning on straightforward purchasing not expensive cars. I'm purchasing cars that might need work that I could fix myself, go through a car. I'm not looking to sell a car that's beat up. Um, Car business is a headache. You fix a car, it comes back, you sell it, something goes wrong. I'm planning, it's good for me because I could go through it myself. I could repair it. So I buy a car from the auction, repair it, put it there, and then sell it online. I'll advertise it on Facebook, Marketplace, things like that, and sell it. I don't want to advertise, because advertising, honestly, on a car is going to bring me a lot of walk-ins. And I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for somebody, come and walk in talking about the car. I rather me speak to them over the phone, explain the car to them, tell them the condition the car that it's in. And then if they agree, then they could come and see it.
That makes sense. Have you had any conversations with any other neighbors? I see a note in here that the food mart is, generally in favor of this. Have you discussed this with any other neighbors?
I didn't discuss it with anybody. I discussed it with when I went to do the application. I went and spoke to the officer that came, and when he came, he asked me if I was okay for him going to the neighbors and asking them, and I had no problem with it. I try to keep a good relationship, even although with the neighbors around. So I kind of help them out as much as I can.
I don't have any further questions.
All set?
I don't know.
Mr. Denny? Anything
Yes.
else you want to say as a final wrap up?
No, just thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess what we would do at this point is sort of close the public hearing part of this. And then open deliberations on the permit application. So everybody in favor of that?
Yes.
Aye.
Excellent. Okay. Thoughts, opinions, outrage? Any?
No outrage.
I mean, I'll just go first. I'm generally in favor of this. I think that, the business plan that Mr. Denny has put forth indicates a thoughtful approach to doing this. It seems that there would be zero impact on the physical layout or the operations of the business. And I think we want to encourage Mr. Denny to be able to improve his business and make a little more money. And I think all those are good things. I would suggest that we add a condition, Kathleen, to your point, at least one condition, maybe a condition that only 2 spaces get used. I don't know if that's necessary because it's in the application. And then a condition that there not be any advertising or signage, just because that seems to be a concern of the neighbors.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point.
But other
Chris?
than that, I'm in favor.
I'm in full agreement with Mike. I'm in favor, and I thought it was very clear in the application and of course in Mr. Denny's comments what the thoughtfulness he's put into minimizing the impact on the neighborhood. So, I think the conditions that we've talked about are very sensible, and would not adversely impact what Mr. Denny's trying to accomplish.
Can't hear you, Mr. Denny.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
I said, even if you guys, I know I applied, like you said, you wanted to put conditions. I have no problem with conditions, no signs, no parking on the street. And if you're even more comfortable, I did apply for a 2-car. I'm only putting 1. If you want to, approve it for 1, if you're more comfortable with that, I'm fine with it because that's what my plan is 1.
I think I'm okay with the 2. I don't see any reason. As long as we just said, there's no parking on the street, you can't do that anyway. We'll probably put that in as a condition. And I think that Mike's suggestion about, no signage for the dealership activity is also a good condition. Can't think of anything else I would add.
I wouldn't want it to be 1 anyway, because then you'll be back if you're successful.
Exactly.
You get that other space.
The application fees mount up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'd like to have a vote on whether or not we would vote in favor of granting the special permit as applied by Imperium Automotive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With the conditions of no parking on the street and no signage.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's what we would be voting in favor of. There's a 20-day appeal period after this decision gets filed with the town clerk, and then you record it at the registry of deeds. I do have, I could give the first draft of a decision because we have issued something like this before that I think I've got so I'd be happy to step up and do that, to pull the one that we've done before, and just alter it for this one, if that's okay with you, gentlemen.
No objection whatsoever.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
This will be a lot shorter than the one for the emergency room at the hospital.
That was a good one.
Oh my God. So Mr. Denny, I'd like to say that congratulations. Voted in favor of your permit and wish you all the luck.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. You guys are amazing. I didn't expect it that easy with you guys. You guys are amazing.
It's a good
Well, you caught
application.
us on a good day.
Good application.
Some other day of the week, it wouldn't have worked out so well.
I'm glad.
Okay, so we'll vote to adjourn our meeting. I don't think we have anything else that we have on the agenda.
Favor.
No, we're doing
Moved.
it.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Can I get an eye? Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody.
You
Thank you.
guys have a good night.
We are adjourned, and thank you, Mr. Denny.
Thank you.
We'll be
Good
there.
night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.